Chatham High School. I lived in the township my whole life, and growing up here definitely has not been easy.
Yeah, thanks for checking out my channel. I hope you'll listen really to what this young lady is saying. She have a very interesting story here. She's making a good point, so just listen and give your opinion. Let me know what you think. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up.
I'm utterly disgusted by all these little remarks
also
made.
Subscribe.
How about no? You cannot touch my hair, and why would you ask if it was real or not? You aren't asking any of the other students this, except for me. Fast forward to 4th grade. A boy on my school bus had called me an angry black woman. I was only 9 years old. My best friend and I went to the vice principal at Lafayette to tell him what had happened. And you know what he said to me? He said, well, he's not wrong. No action was taken, and acts of racism towards me was further pushed down. The same boy, later that year, had compared my complexion to poop. Yes, poop. I was embarrassed, disgusted, and I hated myself because I longed to be a lighter complexion. As you can imagine, the administration did nothing to protect me, to make me feel like I mattered. I was a kid who did not feel safe in Chatham, and now,
sorry for this awful sound. I don't know if it's my microphone or it's just the wind giving off this crackling sound. But sorry for this sound here. I hope you still can you enjoy this.
Not knowing whether he was going to make it out alive or not. Some may say this is extreme. It's not. This is happening too often in our own communities, and if we don't acknowledge that, we are going nowhere as a town. Now let me ask you, how many of you knew about Juneteenth before this year? Not a lot. And how many of you learned that in Chatham High School? None. And I am repeatedly having to watch and research about my own race on my own, which I don't mind, but I question, why aren't we learning this in our schools? In my experience, they teach you a little bit about the geography of the slave trade and then come to the conclusion that yes, slavery is wrong. While that is clearly obvious, why aren't my teachers teaching us how to be anti-racist? How to talk about these kinds of things? And most importantly, having these uncomfortable conversations. Why don't we have black teachers or a teacher of color at Chatham? African American teachers at Chatham High School is less than 1%, and we have a diversity score of 0.29. That says a lot by itself. Time and time again in classes, I am asked to give my black perspective, when a perspective is not needed. How should I know the black perspective of the color purple in a book we're reading in English class? English teachers treat me like I'm some kind of Rosetta Stone for the African Americans of our world, while they say the N-word right in front of me, with no hesitation. Just you being here today is not going to do anything. But if you want to come and fight to abolish this very cracked system, then you can. Today alone won't change much, but what we do further after learning is what really counts. I urge the school administration to come up with a more welcoming plan for black students and students of color so we can feel as though we have a voice. Listen to us. Try to understand what we are saying. And if you need help understanding, don't be afraid to ask. I went to the principal at Chatham High School my sophomore year to tell him about a girl in my grade who called me a dirty, insert the word I will not repeat, and told me, why do you always talk about being black? Mind you, this was around the time police brutality started to get more attention, and she said many more awful comments. As I sat down with the principal, he wrote down notes and such, and I was hoping that finally, something would be done. But once again, no action was taken. I felt silent, and I truly believed no matter what happened to me in Chatham, I will not be protected. And I'm going to have to suck it up until I graduate and find a place more diverse. I don't want any black student growing up in Chatham to face these moments of racism I have, or even young adults. One of my close friends who is African American even left the Chatham district because of how she's being treated in this town. We can't change as a town or move forward as a person unless we recognize these acts of racism. A good amount of you have white privilege. Instead of spending time on making an Instagram story birthday post pretty, maybe try educating yourself and using your privilege for change. If you think this is about you, it probably is. Please, take it personally. I cannot change my skin color. I am black when I wake up, and I am black when I go to bed. I am a walking danger sign for some people, so this is the least you can do. Just because you sign a few petitions, donate a few dollars, and post a few things on Instagram, doesn't mean you have done your part for anti-racism. Thank you for doing the bare minimum. A person who is truly in solidarity for justice and equity won't pat themselves on the back, because they know that as a white person, they still remain a part of the system and they still benefit from white supremacy. Which means they will always have blind spots and they will continue to make mistakes. Don't get me wrong, accountability is good, but it is not the end stop. It's the pit stop before hopping back on to continue your own inner work. I encourage you all to keep working on yourselves. This is a lifelong process and will take time. More often than not, as humans, we are having these racist thoughts without even realizing it. In my health class this year, the kids in my class decided they were more likely to stop what they were doing to help someone unconscious at the Short Hills Mall than not Livingston Mall. They assumed a person who is unconscious at Livingston Mall is more likely to be on drugs. Why is this? Now I know that it's not just me who sees that there are more minorities at Livingston than there are at the Short Hills Mall. Being black is not a threat. My sisters are not a threat. My family is not a threat. I am not a threat. I don't know how else to say this, and have spent my whole life wondering, why me? Why African Americans? Even as a young kid, my father had given me and my sisters a talk about why getting pulled over by the police is going to be different for us, and what actions we should take when this happens. Growing up, I would tell him, don't go to work. I'm sorry. Growing up, I would tell him not to go to work and ask him if he could stay home some days, because I lived in fear that a cop would shoot my father dead in the streets and nothing would be done about it. I will no longer live in fear anymore. We have to keep fighting and being strong and proving to the world that we are black and black is beautiful. Look at my own family. My own sister, Alexis, she organized this event. She's going to NYU. Ashley's studying to be in media, to have her voice heard all over the nation. And my other sister, Tiffany, who is starting her own company. I am not ashamed to be black anymore. I am proud. As I wrap this up, I'd like to leave you with this quote from Dr. Martin Luther King. This wait has almost always meant never. Justice too long delayed is justice denied. Thank you.